Good afternoon and welcome to City Journal News.
Here's what's making the headlines this Tuesday, September 15.
If you haven't already gathered, Australian politics is a weird beast. In the past 5 years, we've had 6 challenges to a sitting Prime Minister, with Tony Abbott being the latest head to fall at the hands of his own party. But commentators were quite bemused in the aftermath of last night's coup, with Mr Abbott refusing to make an appearance. Sky News even had a chopper following his official car. Speaking at Parliament House today, this was undoubtedly a sombre occasion for all involved.
Of course, the government wasn't perfect. We have been a government of men and women, not a government of gods walking upon the earth. Few of us, after all, entirely measure up to expectations.
Change, but some cynics believe it will be more of the same. The great advocate of an Australian republic, Malcolm Turnbull, kept things the same as he pledged allegiance to the Queen as he was sworn in as Australia's 29th Prime Minister. Like Kevin Rudd and Julia Gillard before him, Abbott's dwindling numbers in the opinion polls were part of his downfall. But will Mr Turnbull be able to turn the government's fortunes around? Sam Cucchiara has the latest.
This is Australia's 5th Prime Minister in just 5 years. Malcolm Turnbull sweeping to victory last night in the hope of salvaging a government in turmoil.
This has been a very important day in the life of the nation.
But the constant change in leadership from both sides of politics has left some questioning our democratic system.
Well, it's become the new normal in Australia, really, hasn't it? I don't think it's great. I think we risk being a bit of an international laughing stock.
Very embarrassing for the rest of the world to see.
I don't know about the instability of switching prime ministers.
Many seeing Mr Turnbull as in touch with voters, despite being the richest politician behind Clive Palmer.
Look, I think he's a pretty charming, charismatic guy. People respond to him at a personal level.
Tony Abbott spent less time in office than Kevin Rudd and Julia Gillard, just 4 days short of his 2nd anniversary. And thanks to reforms he brought in, he won't get the PM's bonus pension.
He's patronising, he doesn't and didn't treat the Australian public with a lot of respect.
The new PM vowing to be a more consultative leader, but not straying from traditional Liberal values.
We need to have, in this country, and we will have now, an economic vision, a leadership that explains the great challenges and opportunities that we face.
So where to now? Mr Turnbull is more progressive than his colleagues on issues like gay marriage and climate change, but he's indicated he won't stray far from Abbott's existing policies for the time being.
I don't foresee Malcolm Turnbull making any big moves in those policy areas. He, as I said, I think he has made some undertakings to his parliamentary colleagues.
Mr Turnbull's vowed to see out the term before next year's election. A new cabinet expected within the next week. Sam Cucchiara, City Journal News.
Global warming is having a big impact on the planet, but it's not always easy to see how. Now Melburnians are being trained to help scientists see the impact on our native plant life. Victoria Knauf went on the Climate Watch walk.
Here, in the lush grounds of the Royal Botanic Gardens, everything seems as it should. But look a little closer and you can see the devastating effect climate change is having on our natural surrounds.
Climate Watch is unique in terms of starting that large-scale data set for the Southern Hemisphere, and that data will allow us to make decisions across a range of areas in terms of planning for climate change.
The Climate Watch Walk is an initiative by the environmental organisation Earthwatch that encourages volunteers to do a walking tour around the gardens. The volunteers visit 8 trees to observe the flora and fauna that's been affected by climate inconsistencies. While Climate Watch benefits from the data, passionate volunteers find it a worthwhile learning experience.
I talk a lot about climate change and I think this is a good chance for me to learn something else.
Participants are encouraged to write down their observations on this sheet of paper or on a mobile phone app. This includes observations to flowerings of trees and plants, as well as how many insects or birds they spot on their walk. Earthwatch believes it's vital to get the public involved in this research.
If we're collecting data purely through scientists and through other academics, it's obviously a much more costly endeavour, and by engaging the public, not only does it raise awareness amongst the public, but it allows us to create a huge data set across a wide geographic area.
Victoria Knauf, reporting for City Journal News.
Students were pulled out of class this morning and evacuated en masse from RMIT's Building 80, but there was no emergency. The annual testing of the emergency procedures sees student and staff grumbling as they are escorted from buildings by security staff who simply want to keep everyone safe. Some students were relieved to get out of class, while others weren't too happy.
I guess if you have like an exam coming up and you really needed help, so it would have been bad to actually have the fire drill during that time.
Since you only get like 1 2-hour lecture a week, it's not good to miss out.
I reckon they shouldn't have it at this time, especially it's like peak and a lot of people are passing by and it's a bit of a obstruction.
Would actually rather be inside.
It's a makeup class, so you have to pass this one.
All students and staff were led to an emergency gathering point where they were told to stay and wait until a drill was over.
For those who suffer migraines, they know it's more than a big headache for everyone. Migraine Awareness Week kicks off today with a drop-in clinic at Federation Square. Hashela Kumara-Wansa has the story.
Federation Square is today filled with people eager to learn more about migraines and how to cope with them. Migraines are a common neurological disease in Australia and are ranked as one of the top 20 causes of disability worldwide.
I think it's a good way to educate others people about migraines or headaches, like to prevent it so they can focus more on their education.
Building awareness of migraines is an important part in making the pain real to sufferers and those who care for them. Everyone can play a part in the process of education. Florey Institute of Neuroscience is dedicated to researching treatments related to the brain and mind.
So I think there is an increasing awareness of mental health in Australia, given the onset and appearance of Alzheimer's disease and a lot of the psychiatric disorders such as depression and anxiety. There's an increasing awareness of the importance of maintaining mental health.
Professor Bradley Turner from the Florey Institute of Neuroscience and Mental Health believes that the brain is one of the most important parts of the body and Australians should do more to look after it. Hashela Kumarawansa, City Journal News.
Last week, industry leaders from all across Australia's music scene gathered in Brisbane to hear talks, take part in discussions and watch the best and up-and-coming artists our country has to offer. The issue of sexism in the music industry was the talking point of the conference, and Matilda Edwards went to see what it was all about.
Brisbane came to life last week as the 11th annual Big Sound Music Conference and Festival took place in the city's Fortitude Valley nightlife precinct. 15 venues hosted sets from more than 150 bands over 2 nights, while during the day delegates attended panels and keynotes from hundreds of local and international industry figures and tastemakers in what is the Southern Hemisphere's biggest music industry event.
A keynote from Jessica Hopper, editor-in-chief of Pitchfork and one of the world's most prolific music journalists and feminist writers, was the highlight of the week, the best attended event of the conference, and remains a talking point all across the internet. In a speech that moved both men and women in the audience to tears, Jessica spoke of the inherent sexism and inequality faced by women and other marginalised groups in the music industry. She shared harrowing stories of rape, abuse and dismissal within the community, and sparked a conversation about the value of young women to music. We are, in fact, the largest consumers of music in the world, and discussed how we can create safe spaces for women all across the industry.
Why do women in music still, in 2015, why do women feel like they don't belong here? We can't let that happen. And I really believe we are in a time right now where people want that to change.
Matilda Edwards, City Journal News.
Over the weekend, thousands attended a celebration of Mexican culture, history and food at Fed Square. Sarah Aquilina was there.
The annual Mexican Festival began in 2012 and has steadily gained popularity, with up to 40,000 Melburnians attending on Sunday. MexFest is a proud supporter of Mission Mexico, a charity providing secure homes to vulnerable children.
The first time I heard about Mission Mexico was because I volunteered for a fundraising event, and I just thought the idea was amazing and tried to help them and support them, because they're supporting kids from Mexico, and it was an Australian couple who did it, so it's helping. I was the representative of Mission Mexico last year here, and now I'm just happy to continue helping the guys.
The latest census shows that there are more than 3,000 Mexican-born people living in Australia. This is a massive 80% increase from the previous census.
Federation Square has been transformed into a Mexican-themed cultural haven to celebrate Mexico's independence from Spanish rule nearly 200 years ago. Melburnians have gathered to immerse themselves in traditional dancing, food vendors, and of course, a cheeky tequila.
We love Mexican food.
I came here today to celebrate the Mexican culture. It's really nice learning about other cultures.
The festival's success proves this Mexican wave is set to continue. Sarah Aquilina, City Journal News.
An ancient Chinese martial art has made its way to Federation Square. The iconic landmark is hosting Tai Chi classes for city workers and early risers as part of its free fitness program. Jordan Keneal tried out a few moves this morning.
While the rest of Melbourne is still waking up, a group of dedicated individuals are gathering for Tai Chi. Run by 77-year-old instructor Anne Wienerreuter, Tai Chi Australia's free classes are a simple way to start the day feeling refreshed and energised.
The hardest thing for people to do is when they start a class, never done Tai Chi, is to relax.
A form of exercise and meditation more often seen in the public squares of China, the easy-to-learn ancient practice could help reduce the growing numbers of Melburnians suffering from obesity and mental health conditions, as well as teaching other important skills.
It's actually defensive. Very good for the ladies to learn a little bit of defensive martial arts.
Routines are performed slowly and smoothly, but with the body in constant motion.
Well, Tai Chi is really, the movements are from Kung Fu.
The practice is believed to help an internal energy and life force known as Qi flow around the body. You can find more information on the program on taichiaustralia.com.au. Jordan Keneal, City Journal News.
With only 2 Melbourne teams still left with a chance for the AFL final, the city's hopes of keeping the Premiership Cup are pinned on Hawthorn and North Melbourne this weekend. Bulldog and Tiger fans are licking their wounds after being knocked out by Adelaide and North Melbourne. Jordan Keneal wraps up the weekend's results.
North Melbourne bounced the Tigers out of the finals. It was a physical affair, but the Kangaroos managed to win by 17 points. Sean Higgins and Dylan Grimes were feeling sore after this clash, but neither was seriously hurt. The Kangaroos will play Sydney on Saturday night. The Bulldogs were the story of 2015, but their dreams were eclipsed by rampaging Crows captain Taylor Walker, who delivered this sizzling pass to Charlie Cameron to win the game. Adelaide took out a 7-point victory, advancing to play Hawthorn on Friday night. Fremantle advanced to a preliminary final, defeating the Swans by 9 points. Michael Walters kicked 3 goals, including this superb effort. The Eagles also qualified for the penultimate round, taking down the Hawks by 32 points. It looks like a possibility that the 2 Western Australian teams could face off in the grand final. Jordan Keneal, City Journal News.
We're now crossing to Victoria at the State Library for our weather. How does today compare to yesterday, Victoria?
Thanks, Tamara. In true Melbourne fashion, yesterday's beautiful spring weather took a turn for the worse early this morning. The rain might have blown away for today, but we reached a top of only 15. Tomorrow's conditions are set to be similar, with a low of 8 and a top of 16 degrees, but there will be less rain about. We're set for a few dreary days, with the weather expected to return to spring conditions by the weekend. So it's a glum week for Melbourne. Don't go packing away your jumpers and coats just yet. Back to you guys.
That's the news this Tuesday, the 15th of September.
Thanks for joining us. See you next time.